Hey guys, Jessica Schwartz. I wanted to pop in and do a short video because I am in a brand new place. I have moved. This is a whole new background. I actually have an office, which I'm super excited about. I actually built a little display area behind me. And I want to show you I have a typewriter. This is a working 1949 Royal typewriter. It's amazing. It was a gift from my father. These are a couple of books that I've either been a part of in contributing, editing, books I wrote myself, a couple of them are in there. And then this globe, I am in love with this globe. It was my grandparents. They've bought it like 40 years ago. And I remember seeing it in their house every single time I would go visit them. And my grandmother recently gave it to me to keep. And it just completely reminds me of my grandparents, and I love having it around. And so to be able to have a place to display my things and not just have them in a closet in my new home, I'm super excited about. You can see a bunch of boxes in the background that are not yet unpacked. This is my office, and it's also going to be a guest room, which I am super excited about. I live in New York City, so we don't in our previous apartments didn't really have space for a guest room. Instead, we just had an air mattress, which fit in the living room, and it was completely fine. It was totally doable. But now we have more space. We got a 3-bedroom apartment, which I'm really, really excited about. So we've been moving all weekend, and for the last month, I have had so much going on. So I wanted to talk to you guys about entrepreneurship and other things going on in your life. Because here's the thing, no matter how busy you are with work, no matter how much you're hustling or what you have going on, life still happens. And in my case, I had a bunch of medical stuff, which required a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of medications, some side effects. And then I also had moving. And in our case, we are first-time homeowners. So moving included scheduling painters, scheduling, before we closed, it included things like scheduling inspectors and appraisals, getting a mortgage, getting all the paperwork for the mortgage. I think I talked to like 10 different banks and financial institutions before making a decision on where to go for my mortgage. So it's one of these things that life happens, and I had two major things happening outside of work. So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think I would have been able to do all this right now without being working from home and without being my own boss. I don't know if I would have been able to get time off to go to closings and go meet the inspector at the apartment. And for the last week since we closed, I've been at the apartment every day doing projects. I've redone the kitchen cabinets in the kitchen because I didn't like the color they were. I have added baseboards. There was a room that a whole wall didn't have baseboards because they had had a built-in, so I needed to purchase and cut and stain and install a baseboard. Cleaning, general maintenance, getting ready to move, packing the old house. So basically what I'm trying to say is I've been busy. But I've been busy with life stuff, with personal stuff for my family and for myself and, you know, my husband and I moving forward and building more of a life together. So it's been super exciting. I am in love with my new house. I painted my walls teal. I also painted my front door teal with the leftover paint, which I am super excited about. But the truth is it was a lot. It was a lot, and it was at times too much. And so I wanted to talk to you about entrepreneurship and freelancing and what happens when life gets in the way sometimes. And for me, I was trying to do it all. My husband works full time in the city and is very busy, and I have a lot more of a flexible schedule. So I really took on about 90 to 95% of dealing with all the paperwork and the lawyers and, you know, the doctor's appointments and everything that we've had going on in the last few months. It took us about 4 months to close, so this has been like 4-month journey. And the thing is I know that I didn't have to do it alone, but I wanted to help my family and make it as easy as possible for us to do these major things in our lives and move our life forward. And what ended up happening is I was still taking on new clients. I was still trying to work full time while going to weekly doctor's appointments and experiencing some pretty gnarly side effects and mostly dealing with everything, and it got to be too much. And I basically had a mental breakdown one night, just Because I put so much pressure on myself. I've been working since I was 15. I've never not worked. I've never not been self-supporting and self-sufficient. I worked through college. I had some scholarships. My parents helped me with some of my bills. I worked a lot in college. At one point, I had 3 jobs while going to classes full time, just because that's what I do. I like to be busy. I like to be productive. I really like to be busy. I'm one of those people that as soon as one thing is over, I just need to fill that void. Perfect example. When we got married in 2016, I actually immediately after the wedding, I was like, oh, well, I don't have to plan a wedding anymore. Now what do I do? And basically immediately started a business, as well as going house hunting at the time, which we didn't end up buying a home then. So I like to be busy. As an entrepreneur, I am constantly thinking up new things that I could be doing, new projects to work on, new books to write, finding new clients. I love being busy. I love feeling like I have a very full schedule during work and that I am constantly getting to work on new and interesting and diverse things. However, there's a lot of pressure there. I put a lot of pressure. It's myself. It's an internal pressure. There's nothing outside of me telling me that I should do things a certain way or make a certain amount of money. But there's a lot of internal pressure that I feel to make more money and keep going as hard as I possibly can. And I know some people call it hustling. I usually don't. I feel like that has a weird connotation. And I put so much pressure on myself to do it all, to have it all, to be everything to everybody, that I basically had a bit of a breakdown and I just couldn't do it. And for the first time in my entire adult life, I gave myself permission to slow down. I stopped taking on new clients. I didn't even market myself looking for new clients. I stopped having consultation calls and just started continuing to work with the clients I already had. But if one of them dropped off or if the project ended, I didn't look to fill it. I just took my time. I fulfilled all of my work obligation as I was doing everything I needed to get done, but I wasn't pushing myself so hard to find more clients all the time that I wasn't able to figure out other things. So what it did is it allowed me time to take care of all my medical stuff, all the doctor's appointments. It definitely gave me the time to take care of dealing with everything with the new house and with getting it ready to move in. I took like a whole day off last week and just didn't work at all, doing running to Home Depot and doing some projects around the house. And I had painters in one day. I was doing quite a bit of my own projects and stuff around the house and buying things that we needed. And I'm still am. We just moved in 2 days ago. This is day 2. I woke up this morning for the second time in my new home, and I am in love with it. We have spent the weekend building furniture and unpacking boxes and rearranging the living room 3 times because we couldn't find a layout that we really felt was perfect. We went out and bought a rug today. Yesterday, I think I bought like all kinds of tiny things that I'd never thought about because until you move, you don't realize the things that you need again. Every time I move, that happens. I'm like, oh, I forgot a plunger. I got to go buy a plunger. And in this case, I have a dishwasher, so I don't have any dishwashing soap, and you certainly can't use regular soap. I had to Google the manual for my refrigerator to figure out how to turn on the ice maker. So fun little things like that. It actually is really fun. Moving itself is not the most fun thing in the world, but unpacking and organizing, that is where I live. That is my wheelhouse. So I'm having so much fun just like figuring out my office that I just wanted to talk about it. Like I think that especially entrepreneurs and freelancers, we really do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to constantly be growing and scaling and figuring out and getting more clients and making more money. And the truth is sometimes that's just not feasible. Sometimes life gets in the way. Maybe you have a kid, maybe you get sick, maybe your spouse or partner needs you for something, maybe you're buying a house. Like sometimes it's okay to take a deep breath and slow down. And in my case, I've been pushing really hard for several years to make as much money as possible, and we've been saving money, and it was okay. I was allowed to slow down. We were going to be fine. There is nothing that rested on my shoulders I was not making or breaking by making a little less money for a couple of months. And so I wanted to tell you that sometimes it's okay to slow down. It doesn't mean you're not a good entrepreneur. It doesn't mean you're not a good freelancer or doing your best. Sometimes it just means that your priorities shift. And that's important to recognize as well, because being a writer is what I do. It's a big part of who I am, but it's not the only part of who I am. I'm also a daughter, a sister, a wife. I am a lot of things to a lot of people, and I'm a lot of things to myself. And I think I always thought that I could do everything if I just pushed myself hard enough and worked my hardest and did my best. And for the vast majority of my life, that's been true. But sometimes, like recently, it's not. Sometimes there's just so many hours in the day. There's just so much time, space in my brain and time to get things done. And so if you're struggling and it's something that you are trying to make this choice of, do I keep pushing as hard as I possibly can until I hit a wall? Which I did. I was making myself sick. I was working so much on so many different things and putting so much pressure on myself. I got physically ill. I got sick. And I actually was like exhausted all the time. And my sleeping was terrible. I was like actually getting like colds and head colds and chest colds. I'm prone to bronchitis because I have asthma. So it's certainly not pretty. But I was working myself to the point where I had to be everything to everyone, and it's not always possible. And sometimes you have to look out for yourself, and self-care and self-love is super important. And in my regular day-to-day, I love what I do. I absolutely adore putting all of my time and effort and energy during the day into my job and into my career and my business and finding new clients. So it was very weird and difficult, and honestly, a bit of a revelation. It truly felt unnatural to me to back off and intentionally work less and make less money. As I've mentioned before, freelancers don't get paid time off. If I don't work, I don't make money. There's no such thing as a paid vacation when you're freelancing. You're either working while on vacation or you're not making money. So you just remember, when you're working like this and you're working for yourself, being your own boss certainly feels and sounds glamorous and fun until you do it. And then it's kind of lonely and terrifying and exciting, and it's amazing, but it's hard. And there's no one telling you, hey, go home, it's the end of the day. There's no one telling you, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and then you can go. You have to figure out your schedule. You have to do what's best for you. And I want you to just remember that doing what's right for you and what's best for you and your family, sometimes that means slowing down and focusing on other things that are priorities. And so just making sure to find priorities and knowing your goals and understanding, like, sometimes it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There is a middle ground sometimes. So I am back. I am very excited to be back at work full time and working really hard. And I just want to, talk to you guys about it. What's been your experience? How has it been for you when you have major life events, but you're working for yourself and you have to balance that? So tell me. I'd love to hear. Thanks and have a great day.